In just 2 years, I went from 0 to over 140,000 followers on LinkedIn. And over the past 18 months, I launched and grew my SaaS company, RB2B, from 0 to 6 million ARR with zero funding. And we got to 4 million ARR using LinkedIn alone. And here's what I learned. Building a personal brand on LinkedIn is the fastest, most efficient, and highest leverage way to grow a startup that has ever existed. And I'm living proof. So in this video, I'm going to break down my exact 6-step framework that took me from a complete nobody to 140,000 followers and helped me build a multi-million-dollar software company in the process. Let's dive in. Let's talk about your story. Your story is the foundation of everything else I'll talk about during this video. You are creating a character of yourself in the mind of your market, and you'll say things and tell stories over and over again that reinforce that character. Now let's dive into how you create that person using the 3 C's. C number 1, you must be incredibly clear about who you are. The market knows me, Adam Robinson, is a bootstrapped SaaS founder who builds in public with radical transparency. Number 2, you must be consistent about who that person is. I do not talk about my personal life. I do not talk about my hobbies or anything that is not a bootstrapped founder who builds in public with radical transparency. C number 3, you must constantly reinforce that story. This is the idea of brand impressions. The more time someone hears something, the more channels they hear it on, the more it gets pounded into their head and reinforces that story, the more likely they are to trust you and buy from you. After you've found your 3 C's, you need to find your prolific zone. What's your prolific zone? Anything that is mainstream is by definition noise. It's what everybody else is talking about. When you go too far out to the right or to the left, you're treated as a crazy lunatic. That's not good either. But in between something that's mainstream and crazy is your prolific zone. And that is where you can create polarizing content. If you're far enough out to the right, where 80% of the people on the right are going to love you and 20% of the people on the left are going to absolutely hate you, that's a great place to live. So you need to find prolific takes that are polarizing on these topics that you're going to write about. And here's the secret to all this. The more authentic and human that message comes across, the more vulnerable and flawed you present yourself as, the more relatable it is, and the more that message will cut through. As simple as this sounds, almost nobody can actually do this on any social media platform about any part of their life. It is an unfair advantage if you can actually be vulnerable. Why? Because big companies have to talk like big companies. They just have to. And small players are completely unwilling to share their biggest mistakes because they're afraid of the big guys. This is true for all social media platforms, but it's especially true for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional network and people are always trying to impress others. Nobody is willing to talk about the real problems they encounter at work. If you're able to, you will be able to do something that less than 1% of creators on LinkedIn can do. And that in itself will cut through. Now, here's an extreme example of what I'm talking about being vulnerable. I did a post about a big layoff that we did, and I don't know a single other founder who would post anything like this. My executive team told me not to, and when I said I was going to, they begged me to soften it by cutting out the parts about how we'd fallen out of product market fit and that we'd been unable to fix our churn problem over the prior 18 months. I refused to change it. Why? Because this level of brutal honesty that few CEOs are even willing to admit to themselves about their business, nobody is willing to post on LinkedIn about something so vulnerable and honest. Being able to be this candid about our situation is one of the things that makes my content resonate so much with people. Now, did my employees love that post? They didn't love reading it, but I want them to understand the reality of the business and why we did what we did. And as hard as it is to read, for them, I think it's good because it leads to better long-term decision-making in the end for the entire team. Again, this is an extreme example. If you have investors, you won't be able to write stuff like this. If you have a co-founder, you probably won't be able to write this stuff either. But this is an example of being vulnerable and authentic. If you can say things on LinkedIn that you might only say to your spouse behind closed doors, it will do better than anything any larger company could ever post. And here's a little bonus, a pro tip I got from a prolific LinkedIn influencer named Devin Reed. People behave on LinkedIn like they behave at work. If you can be a bit inappropriate on LinkedIn, it really stands out. Your profile page is absolutely everything. When people see your original content, they spot you on engaging on influencers' posts, or they get a connection invite from you, they're going to click on your profile and check you out. Don't blow that chance to make a great first impression and deliver your message. My LinkedIn profile alone drives hundreds of inbound leads for RB2B every single month. That wouldn't happen if I didn't have my profile page set up the right way. Here's the thing, most of these changes are very simple. Each one boosts your profile's effectiveness just a little, but when you add them all together, the cumulative effect is massive. So here they are. For your headshot, get a professional headshot, look straight at the camera and have a solid background, and it's best if you're smiling. For the banner, create a branded banner with a very clear value proposition and offer, and most importantly, a call to action. You can use Canva to do this, even the free version. For the headline, create a clear description that maximizes your professional credibility and accurately reflects what you do and who you help. For the link, you can set this up in the very top section. You can use a link or a custom button, but point it to your website. And if you have a special page for cold traffic to convert them into a front-end offer, that's even better. Now for the About section. Create an extremely detailed About section that highlights your professional accomplishments and area of expertise. Be incredibly clear about who you help and how you help them. Cite very specific professional accomplishments, your highlight reel. Use numbers as you can. Build as much credibility as humanly possible in the first line, which is above the fold. And do not be vague. This is not the place to talk about who you aspire to be. This is where you talk about what you have done and why you are a total badass. For the featured section, put links that are direct response calls to action. Send people to your website, send people to your newsletter, send people to your podcast. Don't put your best performing post. Always send people somewhere where they can get closer to converting. For the roles section, build that out. More detail for each role, the better. If you're an advisor, if you're an investor, all of this stuff helps build your professional credibility. For your education, you should add it, and any advanced degrees or certifications will help you a lot. These still matter even though you're an entrepreneur. For recommendations, make sure you have recommendations from at least 3 to 4 people. Do recommendation swaps if necessary. Now look, all of these are checkbox items. I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel here. Just make sure you're using this real estate to its full potential because your potential customers are passing through. Do not miss a chance to make an impression that will lead to the next stage in the relationship. So how do you turn your profile page into actual leads for your business? With LinkedIn Premium, you can actually see who looked at it. Those are warm leads. Opening conversations with these people will be exponentially easier than opening a conversation with a cold contact. This alone is a great power of LinkedIn and one that you should use to get your company started. Now, writing consistently great posts, the kind that rise above the sea of mediocre, glad-handing noise on LinkedIn, is your superpower. Most of your competitors will never master this. It's not easy, but there's a method to it. It is not just luck. And once you nail this, you'll be in a whole different league than your competitors, so pay attention. First things first, you've got to get your mindset right. You are not writing for an algorithm, you're writing for an audience. And sure, the algorithm isn't totally irrelevant, but remember this, the algorithm is designed to serve your audience, so focus on those people. Always write for your audience first. And no matter how the algorithm changes, the only solution is to make better content anyway, so make this the foundation of your posting mindset. Idea Hunting 101. The best LinkedIn posts answer questions that people have about your niche. So you just need to find places where people are asking questions about your niche and figure out what they're asking. Let's say I'm in the cold email niche. I'm going to walk you through how I would generate ideas for the first things I'd post about. The first thing I do is I would study the best creators in the space. So for cold email, it's 2 guys named Michel Liban and Jesse Willett. I'd spend several hours looking for their best posts of the last 90 days. Anything that got way more likes than anything else, I would bookmark and set aside. And then I'd write down all of the topics they're posting about in a spreadsheet. I would then look at those topics and I'd figure out which of them I could muster up a very prolific and polarizing take on. And I would never take all of their ideas. I would come up with my own version of the posts on the topics that they're talking about. After I got a handful of ideas from the best creators, I'd turn to AI. AI. I'd go to Gemini, which is powered by Google search and YouTube search, and I type the following in the search bar. What are the most common questions people have about cold emails? And the response it gives back, how do I write a compelling subject line? What should I write about in the body? How often should I follow up? If you actually were in the cold email niche, you should have extensive knowledge and data about each of these questions. Then I would go to Reddit and do the same thing. I'd search for threads about cold email, then go through the questions and see what people are asking. Between these sources alone, you should have more than enough post ideas for your first 30 days. Now, writing posts. The first step is to study a great LinkedIn creator and create a swipe file. Spend 2 hours straight digging into the best LinkedIn posts from influencers in your space, like I explained previously. Look at my post. Look at everything that has over 1,000 likes. Then take that post and see if you can apply your fact pattern to the template that I've laid out there for you. When you have a swipe file, you'll have some examples of your favorite hooks, templates, killer closers, and strong call to actions all in one place. And now let me dive deeper into how to write each of these. So what is a hook? The hook is what grabs attention at the top of your post. On LinkedIn, it's everything before the see more button. Writing a great hook is the most important part of posting on LinkedIn. It's what shows LinkedIn that people want to read your post in the first place. The goal of the hook is to get them to click see more and nothing else. Hooks are about establishing credibility and saying something bold enough so that they have to keep reading. Always write like no one's ever heard of you before and try to build the most credibility possible, because most people seeing your posts don't have any idea who you are. Here's an example that I like to use all the time. I spoke to 20 CEOs over the past 30 days. I just start with that and then say something else. And anybody can use some version of that hook. Brokering information is perceived as very valuable and very credible. Another example I use all the time is I bootstrapped 20 million ARR in 3.5 years. Hardly anyone has bootstrapped 20 million ARR in SaaS full stop, especially not in 3.5 years. So it gives me instant credibility and people are willing to listen to whatever I say after that. You'll also notice that I try to use as many numbers as possible in my LinkedIn hooks because LinkedIn loves numbers. Let's talk about templates. Templates help you write content the way LinkedIn likes. I use a specific format a lot that's basically a list of bullet points that I add 2 sentences or so of explanation under each bullet. Sometimes I use actual bullet points under the bullets. Sometimes I use numbered lists. The format's flexible, but it's easy for me to write that way, so I tend to write like that a lot. Once you've really mastered the art of writing posts, you can ditch the templates altogether, but until you reach that level, lean on your templates. Look at what is working for other people and put your story on top of their template. Within your template, here's what you should do every single time. You should, number 1, agitate a specific pain point for the post. Number 2, offer a solution. And number 3, tie everything together with a strong takeaway. That's how you create a mini hero's journey all within one post. Now let's talk about the close. You need to end each post with a close that gives people a dopamine hit, meaning you agitated their pain, you provided a takeaway that offers a solution, and the last line is something clever and coy, and it gives them a warm and fuzzy feeling that inspires them to engage with the post. A tip for creating something coy that you can close your post with is you write your post, drop it in Claude, and then you say, can you please help me close this post with something coy that will give the reader a dopamine hit? 5 suggestions, please. And Claude will return you 5 ways to close any LinkedIn post, and then you can pick one of them that works and that matches your tone. So this is a coy close that I used that I thought was one of my best ever. Here's a few lessons for my fellow bootstrappers. 1, the world is really hard on you when you're small. Stay strong. 2, if you're small but profitable, you can stay in the game. 3, the skills and effort you're compounding are very valuable. And 4, if you build the skills and stay in the game long enough, the odds that you will get lucky and hit it big skyrocket. Don't let people tell you you're wasting your life. Massive success is inside of all of you. It just takes a lot of time and usually a little luck. Keep building. That makes me feel super warm and fuzzy, and it's not a, hey, continue the conversation in the comments, or what do you think about bootstrapping? It is a close that makes you feel something. Never say, let's continue the conversation in the comments, or ask some stupid question. That's horrible. End it with something coy that leaves people with a dopamine hit. Posts are all about nailing a hook, using a template, delivering a takeaway, and wrapping it up with a close. There's not just one way to create a great LinkedIn post. You want to experiment and find what works works best for you and your audience. That said, I recommend you stick with one approach for a while and get consistent with it. And then once you see it working, you can start mixing things up. In the beginning, you'll need to put in extra effort to grow. The best way is to use LinkedIn's connection feature and start connecting with your ICP. How do you do a Connect campaign? Connect campaign step 1 is you create a prospect list. Make a list of 100 to 250 of your absolute best prospects. Then connect with those prospects starting at 10 or 20 per day. You can send outbound connection requests with no message. We see a very, very high accept rate on those connection requests, and your connect rate may go up as you grow your audience. The more active and familiar you are with these people, the more likely they'll be to accept your connection request. You can work up to 50 a day, but be careful with automation because it's technically against LinkedIn terms and you can get booted. And by the way, if you install RB2B on your website, you'll get the LinkedIn profiles of your website visitors sent to your Slack, and you can send a connection request to all of them. These are practically the warmest leads you'll ever have, so the acceptance rate is through the roof. You can give it a try for free by clicking the first link below. Step 3 is where the magic happens. It's engaging with your prospect list. Now, once someone's accepted your connection request, they will start getting served your content. Usually after an accepted connection request, we'll wait 60 days and then we'll go in and we'll send somebody a message. And after 60 days of seeing your content and possibly even engaging with it, this person thinks you're a celebrity. Once you reach out to them when they've been reading your stuff, there's an 80% reply rate. And that's what makes LinkedIn the most effective conversation opening vehicle in the entire world. This is where the value comes in of knowing how to post well. Once your audience gets larger and your content gets better, you'll get so many inbound connection requests that you'll stop doing outbound. Only accept ideal customer profile contact requests because you'll get a lot of requests from people who are trying to sell you. Learn to recognize those and don't accept them. Not to be a jerk, but because you want to start building an audience concentrated in the people who are in your ideal customer profile. And after accepting this connection request, message them and ask, hey, first name, what caught your attention? And then follow up with how are things going at whatever company they work at. The key here is to have patience. Do not start pitching when someone sends you a connection request and you accept, or when you send a connection request and they accept. Patience is what will separate you from the people who connect and then send a pitch slap 10 minutes later. People think they're being patient if they wait 48 hours or even 5 days. You need to wait 60 days. Let these people see your content, get to know you, and feel comfortable with your intentions. This creates a parasocial relationship. It builds an enormous amount of trust so that when you reach out in 60 days and ask for a meeting, they will say yes, because by then you'll be famous to them from all the content that they've seen in their feed. Step 5 is how to use commenting to build a community. Community is a powerful concept. The relationships people build inside a community are built upon shared values and ideas that brought them together. When you post on LinkedIn, the stuff that you talk about becomes the values and ideas that are bringing people together in your comments. And the platform doesn't matter. Whether we're talking about LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, the community building works the same anywhere. Once you build an audience around your ideas, you can move that community to another platform. But the key is building an audience around these ideas is what builds community. LinkedIn is an incredible place to build your community through commenting. In my world, this now happens in the comments on my own posts. I try to answer every single comment that gets left for me, and it's typically 100 or more per post. And as a result of the dialogue that I've created with the people in my comments, when I go to real life events, I meet tons of people I already know online. These commenters also help me figure out RB2B pricing. We had a massive problem where we had 3,000 free signups and only 13 paying customers. I posted about it nonstop, and the commenters helped me fix that pricing problem, and it eventually got us to a 12.5% touchless free-to-pay conversion rate and helped us grow from 0 to 6 million ARR in 18 months with just 3 people. Creating community through comments is one of the most important features on LinkedIn. You won't have 100 comments on your post when you start out. So what should you do? You should make a list of influential people in your space and comment for 15 minutes per day on their post. Do not use an AI tool to write regurgitations of a post and ask a question at the end of the comment. I hate that, and so will they. The more thoughtful and consistent your comments are, the more you will start to be remembered by that creator, and the more their audience will eventually be attracted to your content. spend as much or more time commenting every week as you spend writing, and this is the key to coming alive on the platform, and it will pay off big over the long run. You should also be connecting with 10 to 20 people in your ICP every day, no matter what. My friend Megan Bowen has spent the last 4 years connecting to 20 people in her ICP every day manually. Over 4 years, she's connected to virtually every single one of her prospects. I mean, thousands of them. And at the same time, she's posting great content, which drives inbound connection requests from her ICP. Now, what's the result? 4 years later, she has over 36,000 followers and has created an automated trust billing machine that generates leads, partnerships, and investment opportunities for her agency month in and month out. The next level tactic is using video in your LinkedIn posts. At the time I'm recording this, it's not a requirement for getting started, but it's clear that LinkedIn is thinking more and more about video, and this could soon be something that you have to do as a part of your strategy because they continue to push video content. I believe there's an immense amount of power in getting people to watch and listen to you talk about anything intelligent. Your status will go up in their head, period. Now, here's how I create my videos. It's important that you have a process because adding video does create a lot of extra work. I write my post first, and that gets the topic in my head, and it's much easier for me to talk about in an intelligent way. Then I record a free-flowing monologue where I look through the bullet points on my post and I elaborate on them however I feel is most interesting. And the video content and the post content end up being slightly different, which I think is a net positive. And again, video is not a requirement, but I would recommend holding off on video until you've found your voice and you're getting strong engagement on your text-only posts. Now look, if you're going to use LinkedIn for outreach, you're probably missing out on your warmest leads, which are the people actually visiting your website. So install RB2B for free using the first link below, and we'll identify those visitors and ping their LinkedIn profiles to your Slack so that you can connect with them while they're hot and start booking demos. Again, it's completely free, so click the link below. And if you want to see how I automated my SaaS using AI, then watch this video next.